This is Anchor Your Retirement with Barb Gulin from Safe Harbor Financial Planning Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Barb Gulin provides her clients and prospects the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful strategies to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now here is Anchor Your Retirement with Barb Gulin.
Welcome to the Anchor Your Retirement podcast. I'm your host, Barbara Gulin, back in the studio this week with my regular sidekick, Tony Shore. Hi, Tony.
Hi, Barb. How are you?
Good. It was nice to see you in person last week. You know, now we're in our respective little frozen or foggy tundra, as the case may be.
Yeah, well, you know, we were in Nashville last week, like you say, at this big financial conference, and it was great to see you, Barb. We hung out a bit, had a good time, and what a great way to kick off 2024 than with this big financial conference. I thought it was fantastic. A lot of good things were said, and I know it's good to get together with some of the other top financial people in the country, yourself included, and you guys share ideas, and I think that's fantastic.
It was a lot of fun and got to see friends from all over the country that I don't get to see that often.
Yeah, that's the best part of it, is the social aspect, yeah.
So, and the Country Music Hall of Fame was quite the treat. I had never been. I'm sure you've been like a zillion times.
I've been a few times. It's fantastic. They've really done a good job. And I'll be honest, full disclosure, not a huge country music fan. As people can see, I am a music fan. But I love Johnny Cash. But overall, country or modern country, not my thing. But I will say it doesn't matter. That Country Music Hall of Fame is so entertaining.
It really is.
If you go to Nashville, you have to tour it. I would also recommend touring the Johnny Cash Museum, which is there. That's really fun, too, and a lot of neat things if you're into Johnny at all. Those are two good things to see in Nashville, but there are many things. Nashville's great. Unfortunately, the weather was not great for us, so we didn't get to do a lot of walking around, right?
It was not. And Nashvillians, I'm sure, are lovely people. However, driving in snow is not their strong suit.
No, doing anything in snow or cold or ice is not their strong suit. Their schools, they had 4 to 6 inches, 4 in most places, and their schools were closed for a week and a half.
I saw that. And my Uber driver, when I was going home, was like, yeah, we're used to snow, but we're used to seeing it on the ground and having it melt by 11 o'clock in the morning.
Right, exactly. Yeah, not much. I mean, when I lived there for 6 years and I rarely saw over a quarter of an inch. It would snow every year, but usually once or twice, and not very much, and it would melt right away.
Just a dusting, not enough to justify closing schools for a week and a half. Now, schools around Kansas City have been closed a lot, but that's because we had incredibly low temperatures.
The extreme cold, yes. Yeah.
And, thankfully, we're back above freezing. Next week, the sun is supposed to make an appearance again. So I am eagerly awaiting that.
Yeah, same here. We haven't seen the sun in a while, but it is supposed to make an appearance, like you say. So that's good. So what is our topic for today? You mentioned taxes.
Yes, we are talking about tax investment strategies for retirement because, we say that taxes and death are the two inevitabilities.
Yep. And for me, there's a third. I've told you this before, but there are 3 inevitabilities for me: death, taxes, and pizza.
Okay. I don't know how I forgot that.
How do you can't forget about pizza, but go ahead. So that's inevitable. Yeah,
especially since I'm Italian, and we know that we do have to pay taxes.
Yes.
But the name of the game for me is to help people pay the taxes that they have to pay and no more.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Minimize that tax burden is the key.
We really want to do that. The Roth IRA trivia. When was the Roth IRA introduced?
I want to say the 80s?
Nope. The
70s?
Roth IRA didn't become available until 1997, Tony.
Oh, 97. Wow. Okay. I was
Yes.
thinking 87 maybe, but
Yeah,
no.
the
Oh,
Roth
wow.
IRA is just a little over 26 years old. It is
I thought
no
it was
longer,
older than that.
nope, can't stay on its parents' health insurance anymore.
It's 27, huh?
Yeah, it's 26. It'll be 27 this year.
26. You can't be on your parents' health insurance after 26.
After 26.
Yeah.
So, believe it or not, there are a lot of people that have not taken advantage of Roth IRAs, but there are other ways. Part of that is because of the income restrictions with a straight up Roth. But another thing is that there's more than one way to create some tax-free income in retirement.
Okay. So that's good. You want tax-free income in retirement. You got to have that tax-free bucket of money too.
Yes.
Right?
You know, we've got your tax deferred.
Yep.
After taxes.
Yep.
And tax-free.
Okay.
Okay.
And tax deferred is that's what most people have in their retirement accounts because they have the traditional 401k, 403b, IRAs, right?
Right. And when those were formed, and those were established in the 1980s, Tony.
Yes.
The whole concept was put it away now. You're paying higher taxes now. You'll pay less taxes in retirement because you need less money in retirement. And therein is the biggest myth that won't say that ever existed, but that really prevailed with the advent of the 401k.
Yeah.
Logically we think, oh yes, we'll be disciplined enough to pay off our house. Oh yes, we'll be smart enough to have bought a car and have it paid for by the time we retire and have few enough miles on it that we won't ever need to replace it in retirement. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Crazy.
You're not going to use a third less electricity just because you're retired.
Nope. Or eat a third less.
Right. And you certainly can't go to your mortgager and say, hey, I'm retired, so I'm only going to give you 2/3 of my house payment now.
Right. Yeah. That's not going to work.
Okay. So that being said, we went with the whole tax deferred option thinking that we were going to be paying less in taxes because you didn't need as much money. I have vivid memories of being in my paternal grandparents' kitchen and them having this conversation with my dad.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So let's just establish that fact that it's not true. Not only are you going to more than likely not need less money in retirement, for those first few years, especially when you want to do the things that you couldn't do while you were working, you may need more money.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, those early years are the go-go years. You're going to be spending a lot of, what if you want to buy that RV or travel or take the kids to Disney World or do some things you haven't been able to do.
Yourself to Disney World, or maybe take yourself to Europe. You mentioned that those are the go-go years. We've got the go-go, the slow go, and the no-go.
Yep. The two most expensive stages are the go-go and then the no-go, because no-go, the healthcare is expensive.
Right. And that's when we end up, that's when my hope is that all of my clients just fall asleep one night and don't wake up the next morning.
Yeah.
But we know that statistically that's probably not going to be the case. And so we need to plan for their care, much like you're going through with your parents right now.
Yeah. Long-term care. Yep.
But in the meantime, we also need to say, okay, we know we're going to need money. How can we create sources of income that aren't going to be taxed? Okay. Obviously, the one that makes the most sense is the Roth IRA.
Yeah.
Or your Roth for employers may be offering a Roth 401k or a 403b. Something most people don't realize is that Roth option is not restricted by income.
Oh,
I have done a number of federal benefits training seminars and had doctors come up to me and say, gosh, I really wish I could participate in that Roth TSP, but I make too much money. And they are shocked and they challenge me when I tell them that there is no income restriction on the Roth TSP.
The TSP. Yeah.
Right. The Roth TSP.
A Roth IRA, there is an income restriction.
Yes.
On
Now, if you want a Roth IRA outside of your employer's plan, yes, there are income restrictions that change every year. They differ whether you're single or married, and they phase out over about a $10,000 income span as to how much you can actually put away. But if you make too much money for a Roth IRA and you participate in your employer's health insurance or your employer's health insurance, I hope you're participating in that. If you're participating in the retirement plan, the 401k, the 403b, reach out to us because we can show you a way that you can, in fact, create that Roth IRA. It takes a little bit of finagling, but it's finagling that we're good at.
Yeah.
And it's pretty, believe it or not, once you find out how easy it is to do, you'll wish you'd been doing it a long time.
Right. But if your employer has a Roth 401k or a Roth TSP, one of those plans, then you might want to take advantage of that. Otherwise, there are ways, like you said, to get into a Roth IRA even. But if you make too much money to qualify outright, there are ways to do it and get that money in there.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are other options besides that. Cash value life insurance is an excellent tool to have access to some tax-free money in retirement, or really you can start building that bucket no matter how old you are, as long as you can qualify for the life insurance and there's a need for the life insurance, you can start building up that cash value account. And think of it as building another bucket of equity like your house. Okay. Now, many of us have seen a significant increase in the equity in our homes over the last few years.
Yeah.
With the run up in housing values.
Yep.
I think that's going to start to level out a little bit with what interest rates are doing.
Yeah.
But, many of us have significantly more, probably well into the six figures for some of us, equity that we can tap into in our home.
Yeah.
The kicker is, if we do that, the interest rate for a home equity line of credit or a second mortgage, or even to just straight out do a refinance and take cash out, why would you want to refinance a 2% loan and turn around and pay 7% just because you need some extra money?
No.
Okay. Wouldn't it make more sense to have built up this other savings vehicle besides a money market account where you can take the money out, borrow from it, and you're paying yourself back the interest? That's essentially what happens when you have a properly structured cash value life insurance policy.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, before I hear all the comments about infinite banking and being your own bank and all of those things, I'm not talking about whole life insurance. Whole life insurance is fairly restrictive, has quite a bit of fees. Okay.
Yep.
But there are other tools out there. Most of the young parents out there are planning on paying for college for their kids, or know that they want their kids to go to college and have some sort of post-secondary education. Why not start building that bucket from something you can borrow against for yourself, that if your kid ends up getting a free ride, or they decide that vocational training is the way they want to go, or something else happens and your child doesn't go to college, that you don't have a 529 that you have to reassign the beneficiary on or start paying penalties and taxes on it. Okay. Let's look at, on the investment side, let's look at some tax-free bonds that are available that you can start investing in. You might want to do that with some of your after-tax dollars so that you're not going to get hit with capital gains taxes and other taxes there. I mean, sadly, for a nation that founded itself because we didn't want to pay a tax on tea, we pay taxes on just about everything else now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. We do. We really do. That's crazy, isn't it?
It is. It is. And, we're paying
I've never
taxes
thought about that. The Boston Tea Party.
Yeah. I
We
mean,
revolted over paying taxes, and now look at we pay taxes. And then at one point, it got up to like 90% tax.
it is. And, we're not there now. And hopefully that happened like in the World War II days when we were fighting a war and coming out of a depression. We're not there now, but if you look at the expenses that we have had as a nation since COVID,
crazy.
We realistically have to double our effective tax rate just to be able to meet our obligations.
Yeah.
As much as I would like to think that the tax cuts that are supposed to sunset in 25 are going to get extended, there's a strong likelihood that's not going to happen.
Yeah, there is.
Because we need either that or they're going to find another way to tax us.
Yeah.
So, taxes are one of the biggest concerns for people when it comes to retirement. How many people, recently, excuse me, one of the counties in the Kansas City metro area reassessed on the property tax side of things. And I had several clients whose assessed values went up anywhere from 35 to 70%, which made a significant impact. It made a huge impact in what their personal property taxes were on their homes. For some people, it was easy to absorb.
So property taxes, have gone up exponentially. I heard about a similar story. Ours went up quite a bit. And then I was talking to a friend of mine in Omaha, Nebraska. That's where my aunt and uncle live. And
I have family there too.
Yeah, I know you do. And so we both have family there, but one of them, their property tax went up over 40%. They went and they fought it and got it reduced a little bit.
Yes.
And then they also, so if your property taxes skyrocket, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes you can actually go and have it reduced, or they'll spread it out over time. So you don't have to, it doesn't come all at once.
Yeah, you can pay those taxes over time. You can pay them under protest. In Jackson County, Missouri, here where a lot of that's happening, I think there have even been some lawsuits filed for the reassessments. And it even, in fact, went to the state of Missouri, and the Missouri state legislature was looking at things. Yeah. So there's been a lot that has gone around with that. But the thing is that you can't control how your taxes are going to be reassessed.
You can't.
You can't control what's going to happen there. Okay. Aside from not being able to control that part of it, it can be a huge challenge to try to figure out what your budget's going to be based on taxes and things that you can't control.
Yeah. So I know that's something you help your clients with is tax planning, as far as, how will that impact your future retirement income? How do you plan for those costs? And that's part of the issue behind all this. And I think that's really, really important for people to understand. And so the bottom line is you shouldn't go it alone if you want to minimize that tax burden and make sure you don't end up in a bad situation in retirement due to taxes.
Right.
Work with a financial professional like yourself. Isn't that the bottom line?
Yes. And remember that the younger you are, the easier it is for you to start developing that tax-free bucket of income now. A few years ago, my mom gifted both of my daughters a sum of money. And my older daughter was a teenager at the time who was immediately trying to figure out how she could spend it.
Right.
But she also had a job.
Right.
So much to her surprise, she didn't get to spend that money. We opened up a Roth IRA.
That's smart.
Yes.
Tax-free money in the future for the future.
And, what people don't realize or what they don't remember is that for those younger people out there, if you establish a Roth IRA, once you start working, as soon as you have earned income, you can have a Roth IRA. You can then turn around and pull that money out tax-free and penalty-free to buy your first house, or to pay for your college education.
Yep. That's really helpful. So,
Yes.
in fact, I know my daughter's boyfriend opened a Roth, and I was really impressed. He's still in college, and he started a Roth, and he's in his 20s, right? So he's
That's
only
fantastic.
He's 21. And he started a Roth.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think that's really smart. Obviously save early, save often. I always say that, like the Chicago politicians, save early, save often, vote early, vote often.
Yes.
But this is a great point. And the bottom line is, like, with a Roth, you don't want to make these moves without it depends on your personal situation, doesn't it?
It does. And, I would tell everybody out there, ask questions of an expert. Don't go it alone.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of reliable sources out on the internet. There are also a lot of unreliable sources out there on the internet. So it's important to, when you're getting started, when you're trying to lay out this plan, when you're trying to figure out what makes the most sense, work with a fiduciary, work with a financial planner, somebody who understands the ins and outs and the nuances of these things, because we might see a strategy that you don't see.
Right.
We, who are licensed fiduciaries, frequently have tools in our arsenal that the do-it-yourselfer does not have access to.
Right. Exactly. And so to minimize that tax burden, it's planning. I know you work alongside people's CPAs to look at their current tax situation, but mainly you're looking at the big picture and looking ahead to what impact that's going to have in the future. And I think that's really, really important. Barb, it's been a great show. Before we go, make sure you let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you to get that plan in place or get a second opinion on the plan they have, right?
Right. You can always give us a call at area code 913-553-6222, or you can go to our website, anchoryourretirement.com. When you do that, we can also discuss the generational implications with you of tax liability, which is something we didn't get to talk about a whole lot today. But for those of you that have large pre-tax IRAs and 401ks that you're planning on passing on to your kids, work with a fiduciary. Let us help you figure out how to do that so that you're not accidentally handing them a big tax bill when you do it.
Yeah. That makes sense. And we could probably do a whole show on that aspect, passing along your wealth to your children or some savings to your children. You don't want to leave your loved ones in a bad situation. And we'll cover that on future shows, but it's been a great show today, Barb.
Thank you, Tony.
Listeners, pick up the phone, give Barb a call, 913-553-6222, or just go to safeharborfpg.com. Barb, great show. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, this has been a good one. And this does it for today's episode of Anchor Your Retirement with our host, Barb Gulin.
Thank you for listening to Anchor Your Retirement. Don't pay too much for taxes or retire without a sound retirement plan. For more information, please contact Barb Gulin at Safe Harbor Financial Planning Group. Call 913-553-6222 or visit them online at anchoryourretirement.com.
Advisory services are offered through Safe Harbor Financial Planning Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Kansas. All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by the social Social Security Administration, the Federal Medicare Program, or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.